Before we get started today, I need to say a massive thank you to Joey LeBlanc, Theo Wilson and Gaelic Hellross. They're three new folk over supporting the channel on the Patreon at patreon.com/Lollujo. It's massively appreciated. Thank you very much to all three of you. If you would like to get involved in the Patreon, as I said, you can do that at patreon.com/Lollujo. Gets you early access to the videos, a 10% discount off of merch, and a few other stuff as well. I can't even remember what's on there. More stuff to come soon once I have the time to add it on. But in the meantime, those three heroes who've got involved today, thank you very much. Hello and welcome to part 2 of the Bayern Munich leg of the Expedition of Gold. I think that's probably what I'm going to end up calling it. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode we have just about the two biggest games. Well, they are the two biggest games we've got left this season. They're the two next games following on from the one that you saw us draw pathetically yesterday. But we're away against Hertha Berlin and at home against Wolfsburg. They're second and third in the league. If we manage to win both of these games, a Champions League qualification spot should be realistic. If we don't win either of them, then Champions League qualification is going to be fairly tricky. We have just had an international break, as you can see, a couple of wins for England in friendlies. No one really cares. We got knocked out of that silly Nations League thing because we lost to Spain. But this is the team that we're going for today. I'm accepting that because we've got no strikers here at Bayern, we're not going to be able to play with our striker-heavy system. So we're going to try something that troubles me a little bit to do. It's a 4-3-3 or a 4-5-1, depending on how you want to look at it. We're going, because we're away against a better team than us, we're going standard, we're going structured. We could potentially drop down to counter, but then on the flip side of that, we need to win the game. It's not enough to go there and just lose. We're not trying to hang on to a Champions League qualification spot. We need to win the match to push ourselves into that spot. So we need to gain ground on both of these teams that we're playing today. So we've got to be a little bit attacking-ish. So this is the team that we're going to be playing. There's a couple of new faces in here from what we met in the last episode. I'm still getting to know all of them, so I can't remember which ones you've already met and which ones you haven't. But we've got Clementino in goal. I know you've met him before. And then a back four of Lafarge, who I think... yeah, he's the same left back we had in the last episode. Magath and Montez, I think, were the centre backs, and Cambon is the right back who came off the bench later on. We brought him on. We brought him into the team, didn't we? Because we moved Szczesny further forward, but he's now suspended, so he can't play in this game at all. You haven't yet met Hector Balbiano, who I think is looking like quite the prospect. Already 7 caps for Argentina at age 20, 4-star current ability, 5-star potential ability, and that's with me switching this to someone who can actually judge ability, unlike the guy we had yesterday. This guy's 17 for both, so a slight improvement. There you go, it tells you there, 17 for both. Little bit of an improvement, and I don't really understand how we've got this player. I don't know why we were able to sign him so cheaply over the summer. I don't know why he didn't come up on scout reports at Tottenham, because we were scouting the entire world and he would have been a player I'd been keen to bring in there. But I'm happy to have him. And the fact that we've got such a good young centre midfielder and defensive midfielder and another one in the shape of Szczesny encourages me that we perhaps need to be a little bit more defensive minded than we've been previously with Spurs, because we've got a good back four, a good keeper, a couple of good defensive midfield players and nothing else. So we can't really go gung-ho because it's just not going to work with the players that we've got. We've then got Anicic and Michels in midfield. And then a front three. I struggled with how to set this up. We've got Berger, Amoroso and Vukatic. Vukatic was a fairly easy one to bring in. He's just a proper right midfield player. One of the best players that we've got at the club. One of the main reasons why we switched to the system. Bayern paid £73 million for him when they brought him in from Leipzig. And he's been brilliant every year he's been at the club. We whatever system we end up playing, it has to be one that's going to suit him, which is why we've got him playing in his preferred way of playing as well, which is a winger on support. He'd actually rather be there. He prefers that even more, but I don't think I can bring myself to be quite that negative and play a sort of flat back 10, it would effectively be. And then I wasn't sure which way around to have Berger and Amoroso. Berger is a striker who can play anywhere across the back four, and he's our top scorer for the season. Not the back four, anywhere along the midfield bit behind them. But then we've got Amoroso, who's a bit older, not as good playing out wide. He's only competent as a left winger, and he's a natural complete forward, which is what we want. And I mean, he's not really ever scored a lot of goals for us, but did score an awful lot of goals for Leipzig before he arrived with us. So it might just be that he's never really been played properly. So I'm almost tempted to turn on that instruction where in fact, let's do that. I can't even remember how to do that. It's been so long since I've done it. There's a way of telling him to swap over, isn't there? So we'll have him. We want him to swap positions with him and just have him swapping back and forth throughout the match and have Vukotic bombing up and down the right-hand side. I've decided to put him on support because he wants to be further back. Normally I'd have both of these two on attack and then two supports in midfield, but because he wants to play a little bit deeper, I've made him support and pushed Michaels a little bit further forward as an attacking playmaker in midfield, with hopefully Balbiano being as good as he is coming in behind to cover. So I've actually put some tactical thought into a team lineup for the first time in about 15 seasons. Usually when this happens, we take an absolute spanking. I'm not feeling particularly confident going into this match because I have no idea if this combination of instructions and players and tactics work well together at all. I'm very much you may have figured this out for yourself, very much I stumble across a tactic that works and keep using it until I'm absolutely certain that it will never work again. So that's usually a good 2 or 3 years after it stopped working, and then I'll reluctantly tweak it a little bit. So to do something completely different is challenging, but when you join a club this late in the season, as we've joined them in March, we can't improve them via the transfer market like I would normally do. We've got 7 games to secure a Champions League spot, because if we don't get in the Champions League, we're going to have no money to spend next year, and then we can't strengthen that way either. So we've got to do it through tactics, and we've gone 1-0 up. There you go. That's our first goal for Bayern Munich. It's Carlos Montes with his first goal of the season, and that does move us up into a champion. I think the top 4 go in the Champions League. I assume they would in Germany. So as it stands, that should put us into that Champions League qualification spot, but we obviously need to hold on to this score and do well in the second match of today's episode as well to make sure that we stay there. That's a solid header from Montes. I approve of that. And he's giving himself a round of applause, and he deserves it. He worked very hard for that goal. So it is, who are we playing today? We're playing Hertha today. So it's Wolfsburg we play in the second of the 2 episodes. I want another couple of goals. You know what I'm like. I'm never going to be happy with a 1-0. It makes me nervous. I just don't feel confident that we can close down a 1-0. Although with this squad of players, we perhaps could switch to defensive and just close out a match. And if we go 2-0 up at half time, that's exactly what we're going to be looking to do. Amoroso from the spot, it's saved by the Hertha keeper, and I still can't bring myself to go defensive this early in a match when we're only 1-0 up and we need a win. It's not as if we're just trying to avoid defeat. Maybe as we drift towards the last 20 minutes, if we're still leading, I'll drop back to counter-attacking. If we go 2-0 up, we'll just try and shut up shop completely and probably go full-on flat-back 10 and just pull both, although we can't really pull both of the wide players back because these two are really both strikers. What I feel like I probably need to do, a 4-4-2 might be what we need. It's what my assistant manager's suggesting I do. It feels so unsophisticated. That's unfortunate. That's their first proper shot of the game, and it goes into the top corner. That's just unlucky. We've absolutely dominated the match. If we look at the stats, despite playing relatively defensively for me, we've had 18 shots, and that's their first shot, and it's 1-1. Look at that. There's no justice in the world. We've played really, really well, but circumstances are just working against us. Right, Amoroso's going to come off. We've got Veliz. I think he's a proper midfield player. Right, yeah. So we now need to take off that instruction for those two to swap. And when I used to mess around with this years ago, you then have the problem of they're the wrong way round, so they'll swap and go back the wrong way, and that's why I stopped using this instruction. I used to be quite keen on it for a little while, but if we turn off that instruction and then go back, at the moment we've left Berger up front, I guarantee when this all settles down, Vélez will be up front, Berger's out wide. And that's not what I want, game. You silly game, that's not what I want. Right, Vukotic is not playing well, so we'll bring on Ercan, or Ercan. We still haven't decided what he's called. Does he want to be a... He wants to be a winger, doesn't he? So we'll make him a winger and support, and you can be... Neither of these two want to attack. What's the harm in attacking? Do we want the two attacking players on one side? I mean, that might be handy. I think we might also stick Berger on attack. In fact, we'll stick him on attack. I know it risks potentially isolating him a little bit. I don't like playing with two wingers. I like one of them to be cutting in either as a playmaker or as an inside forward. But we haven't got the players to do it. We've got to try and play to the strengths of these players, and we are playing just about the most straightforward 4-5-1 you could ever play at the moment. We've got a complete... He can't play... They're the wrong way round! Okay. We've got our striker up front who's... I mean, he's just isolated. We can't leave him as attacking. Can we? No, we're going to make him support. What does he want to be? He wants to be an advanced forward. Well, be an advanced forward then. You're our top scorer and our best player and you're not playing well for us. So try being an advanced forward. I don't like advanced forwards up front on their own, but I can't bring him off. I'm going to leave him on, even though Kev's substitution ritual says he's the next man to come off. But in actual fact, we'll toy with the idea of changing a defender. There you go. We'll bring on Thiago Floriano to play at left back, because that's going to win us the game. I feel like we deserve a winner. We've had 23 shots. To be fair, only 5 of them are on target. I think we might need to turn on work ball into the box. We've had 16 off target, long shots. That was wasteful. I mean, any other point of the season, that's a respectable draw. And we are only 3 points behind them still. But there's only 7 games left. We're outside of the Champions League spots. And now we're playing another team who are above us. And we absolutely must beat them. And I just don't know what to do tactically. Apart from turn on work ball into the box. Maybe. Can't believe after 23 seasons we've made it to one of the world's true superpowers of football. And I've had to resort to playing a 4-4-2. But the players that we've got, I just don't see that we've got a better combination that we can do. So Szczesny's fit again. He comes back in at right back. I was going to bring him into midfield. I actually considered having the 2 defensive midfielders and just having basically a flat back 6 with 4 up front. Just really go for it. But Balbiano's injured now, so I couldn't do 2 proper defensive midfield players. So Szczesny can come in at right back, and we'll have Michael Zanicic as defensive as you're going to get from me in midfield, with the wingers trying to push on. Because Anicic doesn't really want to do anything defensive, I'll have him as box to box and have Vélez on support rather than having him on attack like I originally wanted. But we've got overlap turned on. We have got work ball into the box turned on as well. We're still going to try and do our high tempo, high closing down play. I'm still not sure how to get the best out of these two as a strike partnership. They both want to be... I mean... In fact, that works better. I'll do that. I might even put him to attack as well. What's the worst? No, I'll leave him as support. Everything I ever learned about tactics says you have 1 on attack and 1 on support when you have 2 up front. And why would I change now? Oh, we've got to win this game. We're at home and I'm only playing on standard because I'm not at all confident about our ability to attack. And that seems really counterintuitive, but I guess we're better off drawing than losing. I mean, that's the wrong mentality to go into when we're down in 5th place with 6 games to go, and we must win, especially when I've turned work ball into the box songs. We don't want 16 stupid long shots. We've got 2 very good goal scorers. We've got 2 very good wingers. I mean, we've got good players throughout this squad. We just need to get them playing more sensible football and perhaps giving them the full-on creative freedom we've had before at Tottenham and Plymouth. Did we manage Plymouth? I don't know that we managed Plymouth. My saves all get confused in my head now. We perhaps managed Plymouth. Let me know down in the comments. I'm going to have to look that one up. Yeah, we managed Plymouth. Or was that last year? But anyway, we can't. This lot can't do it. It goes to their heads and they start shooting from miles out, as opposed to that cross from miles out. I mean, we've still had 5 of our 8 shots have been long shots, and that's with work ball into the box turned on. What do I have to do to get these lot to stop shooting from range? I could do individual instructions to tell them to stop shooting from range, but I don't feel like I should have to go one by one and give them individual instructions. They're supposed to be Bayern Munich players. They need to be able to think for themselves, and if the issue is low intelligence, bin them off, swap them for players who can think for themselves a little bit more. But for example, Igor Anicic, we know he's got a cracking long shot on him. We know he can score some absolute beauties. We don't want to tell him not to shoot from long range. We want to tell him to only do it when it makes sense to, and don't try 10 long shots all throughout the game and do it every time you get the ball. We have had 5 non-long shots of 12, sorry. So nearly half of our shots have been sensible shots, so we're getting there. But it would be nice to see us score a goal from open play, which we haven't done yet. And Amoroso does exactly that. We go 1-0 up. It's only his 7th goal of the season. But just like in the last match, this is how tight things are for these Champions League spots. If things end as they are, which is a big if, then we move ourselves up to 3rd place, level on points with Hertha, and looking good for a Champions League spot with 6 games to go. Dortmund have run away with it again. But look, there are currently 5 teams level on points on 52 points. That is about as tight as I've ever seen the top of a league. Dortmund are just chuckling at the carnage going on behind them, and I don't blame them. We need to make some serious transfer strides over the summer to be able to close that gap and close it quick. We can't be 12 points behind this time next year. I don't want to be here for 5 seasons. I want to win the league and move on. So we need to do something, but being able to do something relies on those Champions League pennies. We're up to 2nd place now because presumably goal difference. Is that how it works in Germany? Because the points haven't changed, so they've not gone behind in their game. I guess they just conceded a goal, and goal difference now works in our favour. I don't know if now we should be dropping back to counter-attacking. I'm still loath to do it because I just don't know if we're good enough to do it. Vukatic, we've not managed to get a good game out of him yet, so he can come off early again. Same with Berger. These are supposed to be 2 of the best players we've got at the club, and I can't get a good performance out of either of them. I don't know if that's because they're loyal to their previous manager, for goodness sake, or if they're just never going to work in a high-pressing, high-tempo team, which I would make accommodations for tactics and things, but I'm not going to sit back, defend, knock the ball around slowly, let the opposition have it. That's just not how you're ever going to see one of my teams play. So if that's what those 2 need, then I suppose the positive is we're looking at 100 million plus for selling them both, presumably. But I think my camera's about to die. But will it make it to the end of the match? Because I'm absolutely certain this time I don't have a spare battery ready. Kev, talk fast. Make a fast substitution. I know it's important. That's a bad substitution, Kev. I know, but we're running against the clock. The red light's flashing. We need a goal because we're down to 6th place at the moment. Goodness me. We'll go control. That'll do it. It worked at Spurs. How can we go from 2nd to 6th off the back of 1 pesky goal? I don't like how close the top of this league is, but we need to grab a winner in this game. Erpcan tries to do exactly that. I don't know what he's doing, drifting all the way over there. We just want a penalty. I don't think we have. It's a free kick on the edge of the area, and it is the young Turkish superstar, not quite Oscar, but will be as good one day, who's going to take... Can he stick it in the... No, of course he can't. What would we give to have Ziyech or Sedman stood over that there? And Magath's absolutely shattered. I don't know what's happened to him. Is he taking a knock? And we're not going to grab the winner. This is going to be our 3rd draw in a row since arriving at Bayern. We've taken this team from 4th to 6th in 3 games. That is not the kind of form I was brought in to achieve. We've maintained our unbeaten record, though. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you pop a like on there for me. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. And thank you very much for watching. Camera made it to the end.